Hello, everyone. My name is Kyriannis, and I am the CEO of Amyna Systems, Inc. Today, I'm here both to represent the Security Industry Association, SIA, and the Federal Enforcement Homeland Security Foundation, the FEHSF. The Security Industry Association is a global organization that provides information, insight, and influence on over 1,500 companies and over 75,000 followers. I am both honored and humbled to have the opportunity to work with them throughout the years. And I will let our guest introduce us to the Federal Enforcement Homeland Security Foundation. I am also honored to say that I was recently elected to the board of directors for this organization and their mission to support and aid federal agents and their families with emergency funding through the times of difficulty, tragedies, and financial hardships is tremendous. And on that note, our guest speaker, friend, colleague, and CEO of FEHSF, Will Montanaro. So Will, hello and thank you.
Thank you, man.
Your personal story really touched every single one of us. And I love for the audience to really hear about it themselves. Can you give us an introduction and also a history of why this is so important for you?
Sure, of course. So first of all, I want to thank you and SIA for us being on and talking about, the mission of a very important foundation that is obviously near and dear to me and many folks, to be quite honest with you. I'm just one of the thousands of stories in which this foundation's really helped. And I'm fortunate enough to be the CEO. I've spent 19 years in the nonprofit sector, varying through working with law enforcement community policing, youth cadets, explorers, all the way up to being a chief operating officer of a major nonprofit organization. And now as CEO, it's been quite the journey, to be honest with you, Min. And I know you alluded to a little bit about my my past experience, but I think it's important that I express it and let people know, really, because it shows the strong impact of what this foundation does. Last year, January 13th of 2023, my life really kind of changed. Definitely did in a major way. My wife was a U.S. Customs and Border Protection Supervisory Officer. And just about after the stroke of midnight on January 13th, we had a horrific house fire. And amidst the chaos, black smoke, just insanity, unfortunately, we lost her and my young daughter, who was 6 years old at the time. And my wife was heroic in many, many respects. And really, I honor her by doing this because unfortunately, everybody puts a plan together and they say, let's do this. This is what we should do during a fire or anything like that. But when chaos really hits, those things really just kind of go up in smoke. Not to use that as an anecdote, but everything just kind of goes. We had an amazing life together. We had a lot of great things. We have two daughters. Luckily, my older daughter survived with me. If I could express, or if anybody could see what is in my head and what I saw that day, it would probably scare you, because I'm quite lucky to be alive today. Through the chaos and everything that happened, we had realized that our younger daughter was still in the home. And while we tried getting out of the house, and through discussion and everything going on, by the time we realized that our younger daughter was still in the home, I had tried to return back in, but I couldn't. It was just too hot. The firefighters told me it was about 900 to 1,000 degrees in the home. Unfortunately, it was a horrific electrical fire that had happened, and it's coming to light now. And my wife, without hesitation, ran back in the home and, ran up the stairs. We had a 2-story home, ran up the stairs, and I tried stopping her. I couldn't. She had a mother's love and courage of a police officer and everything in her training. So she decided to dart into the house. And unfortunately, both of them did not come out. So it was certainly extremely heartbreaking. But it's something that you learn from. Unfortunately, it's a terrible thing to have to learn from. My older daughter surviving with me, Elena, she's gotten strong over it, and we talk daily about our feelings and what things we've dealt with and how much she misses her mother and her sister. And we work together. And to be honest with you, we have become very, very, very close. Obviously, not that we weren't before, but we've just gotten extremely close. And, it teaches you a lot because um, there's a lot that goes on in this world. There's a lot of dark, a lot of bad. But when that happened, I saw the light of humanity. Um, with the people that came to my aid and my family's aid, including this foundation, that stepped up to say, we need to help. And the monetary donations that we received was overwhelming. But, a lot of people sit back and say, well, you get this kind of money, this and that. But not everybody realizes, maybe I may not look it, but I'm 40 years old.
You're still a baby.
I'm
In my
40 years
mind.
old. Yeah, I'm 40 years old. And, when you lose your partner, the love of your life, and there's another side to it, unfortunately, which is business and life, that you lose half your income, and you got to figure out what's next. And to be honest with you, this foundation and others that have stepped up to help me basically put me debt free. And that's important because we can go forward to help, my daughter make sure she's got money for college. And that with all the stuff that we've struggled through, the one thing that we shouldn't have to focus on was finances. And everybody, all humanity, basically, I mean, thousands of people reached out and helped us. And it touched my heart to such a level that I don't think can even be expressed. And with her job and what she did, when you're a spouse of a law enforcement officer, well, you don't put the uniform every day, but you do feel it. And they go to work, and there were things that people sit back, they have no idea what she did. She wasn't a beat cop, she was a federal officer, right? So I mean, there's different aspects, but I would hear things that she'd be sitting down dealing with terrorists or narcotics traffickers, or being close proximity with those folks kind of scares you, and anything could happen. But at the end of the day, I'm here to help further the mission of this foundation, and really in her memory, and to help others, because unfortunately, it's not if tragedy strikes, it's going to be when. And that's what we do here as a foundation. And I couldn't be happier to be on board.
And I'm really sorry to hear about the loss of your wife and your child. And
Thank you, man.
really, as a mother, it really touches all of us who's a parent of a child. I think one of the things that I want to ask you about, and if you can elaborate a little further, is what's the goals and what's the mandate of FEHSF? And I think it's very important for the audience to hear that, is what are the goals, what's the mandate? And then talk about the gala this year. I think it's very important for them to hear why we're doing this right now and why this is so important to all of us.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background. I had met Richard Kendall, who is our chairman of our board, phenomenal chairman of the board, also founder of this foundation, been in existence for 22 plus years. And really, Richard reached out to me because I had met him, I'd say about 12 to 15 years ago, through our good friend Lou Rice, who a lot of people know and very well respected in the industry and the law enforcement community. Introduced me to Richard, and Richard was the one who picked up the phone to call me after everything had happened and said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And we spoke, and after a couple of months, he said, "You'd be the perfect person to run this organization. We want to take this thing to another level." So the mission of the organization really resonates extremely strongly with me, because it's to help federal officers who put their lives on the line every day dealing with tragedy. It's not just them, but it's also their families. There's moments where unfortunately there'll be line of duty deaths, which is unfortunately what my wife's life, my wife's death was deemed. And we're there once we receive an application or notice that something has happened. We have a strict mandate within 24 to 48 hours that we have to get funds to those families directly. So, many people would be very happy to hear that 99.9% of our donations that come in go directly back out. We have extremely little overhead. And the mission is to help those in need in the federal agencies world. So it could be, unfortunately, a death. It could be, unfortunately, a death of a spouse or a child. It could be, that someone got stricken with cancer, or they got sick and they need help. There's a number of aspects, and I'd like to highlight a couple. The biggest ones are, there's two parts here. We have a chief medical officer who will help at any point, that if someone calls and said, "Hey, I need help with X problems," right? For example, we had a ATF agent who unfortunately was serving a warrant going through a home, and fell 3 stories out of a window because he was pushed by the perp out, and he became a quadriplegic. Our chief medical officer got him in to one of the best spinal institutes in the country, and it's down in Miami. And he made the phone calls and did it right away. He's always standing ready to help and getting the medical needs that they can have, and go out there and help them with. Secondly, our vice chairman on our board, who actually just came on not too long ago, his name is Josh Fox through the Brady Hunter Foundation. He's amazing as well. And not to say that everybody else on our board is amazing. Min, you're amazing. We were really happy to have you on. But his focus is children. And anytime that we have unfortunate incidents involving children, he matches and sometimes goes over what the general funds will give. Wow. So my job and our board's job is to continuously raise more funds so that we can help all these families. And there's so many touching stories for me to even highlight. One is difficult. We've had some really, really terrible tragedies where, an 8-year-old child had died in a horrific accident. And we stepped up in a major, major way. I think we granted over $20,000 to that family to help them out. And we'd like to do a lot more than that.
No, that's amazing.
There's things like that. We unfortunately recently another one involving children. There's a tornado near their home, and a tree fell in the house and killed their 2-year-old child sleeping. And the wife was seriously injured, ICU, multiple surgeries. We were there to help also. We sent money and those things, and unfortunately these things happen more often than most people realize. And we're humanitarian aid. We want to be there to help. And really, that is the mission of everything we do. And I know you mentioned the gala.
Yes, I think our audience needs to hear about the gala and really, I think, support the gala, right? So I think what we want to do is make sure that they know how to get to it. And if you could talk about a little bit about the gala, who may be there, what it represents, and definitely how to support it, when, where, name it.
Yeah. So one of our major things, we have a major fundraiser that has not happened in 5 years. Due to COVID, there were many incidents that happened and they had to try and get things back up and going, as many people have gone through nonprofit or profit businesses trying to get things back up. That's what happens when you shut a world economy down. You got to get things going again. And on September 18th at the Plaza Hotel this year, we have what's called our Ridge Awards Gala. For those, I'm sure all of you know, Tom Ridge, former governor of Pennsylvania and former Homeland Security Secretary, the first one in this country's history. He is our honorary chairman of our board, and he will be present that night to present the awards to our honorees. And I think we just got breaking news on that. So are we allowed to put that out there, Min?
I think we're allowed to. We're allowed to. Okay. Yes.
All right. Well, there's 2 people in particular. Obviously, Don Erickson, the CEO of SIA, amazing person. We're so happy that he's joined us and is going to be doing this. He's I've read all the comments about him and everyone saying how well-deserved this is and what a great person he is. And I've had the opportunity to meet with him and talk with him on several occasions now. And we're very excited. He's perfect for this award and we're very happy. And I guess as of 2 hours ago, we just got our second honoree. And please make sure I say this correct. Lenore Carafa, is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Right. Lenore Carafa, venture capitalist, former United States Naval Academy officer, graduated, worked at NCIS, military, is now in a venture capitalist world, which is awesome. Her father is retired law enforcement. So this is an unbelievable marriage. And we're really excited about this. So September 18th is about 2 things, right? It's about honoring those folks that really deserve it, because there's so many outstanding leaders in our community that just need to be propped up and say, hey, look at what these people have done. Look at what they're doing for everybody, right? And secondly, it's really important that we raise funds so that we continuously give more money out to help these families. I want to go to bed at night knowing that we've given more than we can, not necessarily more than we can, but more and more to help out these families. And it's never enough, obviously, but there are ways that we can help even more to help these folks. And in particular, we're looking to establish a child scholarship fund. So if unfortunately a parent passes away due to various circumstances and there's children involved, we want to make sure that their college education is taken care of. So that is something that we're starting. And this gala itself is going to be the catapult and catalyst to make this happen.
I love
So
it.
we're really excited. Two phenomenal people are going to be honored. I've also failed to mention that we have our law enforcement agencies will be there that night.
Great.
Our heads of federal agencies will be there, and they too will be honoring their teams or individuals that have done an amazing job this past year. They come free of charge, and we want to make sure that they know that we appreciate what they're doing. So we give them that opportunity to stand on the stage in front of 3, 4, maybe 500 folks to talk and really get honored and praised.
No, I love it. And so how can companies help? I mean, SIA is a big organization that represents quite a bit of companies, a lot of individuals. How can people help? Where did it go? Who did it talk to? What did it do?
Biggest thing, it's direct FEHSF.org. You go to our website, you'll see the Ridge Awards Gala. We ask you to take a look at it. At a minimum, if you could help sponsor our federal agency tables, which are $10,000 a table, they're coming free of charge. We want to make sure that their costs are covered and paid for. We would love for sponsorships. There's a lot of big sponsorships out there. But those are two main ways. If that's not something you're interested in, you can always reach out to me directly. My information is on the website. You just click on it and you can get to me directly, and we could talk about other ways. There's ways of depreciated stock. There's all kinds of ways of giving that we can do and certainly handle to make sure this happens. But the biggest thing is that we support those people that protect us every night.
No, that is amazing.
And the motto of our foundation is they have our backs and we have theirs.
No, I love it.
We consider ourselves the financial first responders. So why not do the best thing that we can for everybody?
Will, thank you. And I really hope the audience for SIA and FEHSS, whoever's watching this, appreciates really your generous time and also your helpful story, really heartfelt story. I hate it. I had goosebumps in my arms. So as a mother and parent, I totally understand how relatable it is, because they're precious little, beings that we brought to the world. And it's very hard for us to actually see that happen.
It certainly is. I appreciate that. And it's certainly very difficult, obviously, as time heals wounds. But as a parent, and you are both of us parents, it's our job is to protect our children. So that's what my wife did right to the end. So,
and I'm sure she's still protecting you. So I will say that out loud. And so thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Thank you, the audience out there. And I really appreciate you taking time to look at this. And please definitely go to FEHSF.org and support the organization. We really would honor that. And please, even for the gala, even a little donation, that would be very, very helpful. And on that note, thank you very much, Will.
Thank you.